Victory does not belong to the strongest arm. It belongs to the stillest mind. Before you conquer the enemy, you must first conquer yourself. Your mind is your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. The undisciplined mind reacts. The trained mind calculates. Most are ruled by their emotions, never realizing they've surrendered without a fight. But you are not most. You are here to become unshakable, deliberate, and precise. The war outside means nothing if the war within is already lost. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? Before you seek to conquer nations, before you dream of victory on any field, you must first understand this eternal truth. All war begins within. The greatest battles you will ever fight are not waged on blood-stained fields or in towers of power. They are fought in the silent chambers of your own mind. I've watched 10,000 warriors fall before a single blade was drawn. Their defeat was sealed not by the strength of their enemy, but by the weakness within their own thoughts. You see, most speak of warfare as a clash of armies. But I tell you now, every external conflict is merely a reflection of an inner storm. Look within yourself at this very moment. What do you see? Doubt circling like ravens before battle? Fear hiding in the shadows of your resolve? These are your first enemies, and they must be defeated before you can hope to triumph in any venture. The untrained mind is a kingdom in chaos. Thoughts wage civil war against each other. Emotions stage coups against reason. Impulses assassinate. Strategy: how can you expect to command armies when you cannot command your own thoughts? How can you expect to conquer territory when your own mental landscape is ungoverned? But there is power in this realization. When you understand that the mind is the first battlefield, you gain the advantage that has elevated emperors and toppled dynasties. The warrior who has mastered the war within becomes invincible without. This is not metaphor, this is strategy at its most fundamental level. Consider the chaos of battle. Two armies clash, steel meets steel, the very earth trembles. Yet in this maelstrom, victory belongs not to the side with more weapons, but to the commander, whose mind remains still as a mountain lake, reflecting reality without distortion. This clarity, this inner peace in the midst of chaos, this is the mark of true power. You must train your mind as others train their bodies. Every thought must be disciplined, every emotion must be understood, every impulse must be mastered. When fear rises, you must learn to breathe with it, examine it, use it. When anger flames, you must turn its heat into focused power. When doubt whispers, you must transform its questions into strategic insight. The battlefield of the mind knows no ceasefire. It demands constant vigilance. Each morning when you wake, the war begins anew. Your thoughts will either serve you as loyal soldiers or rebel against you as saboteurs. There is no neutral ground in this inner territory, but know this: the very challenges that wage war within you are also the forces that will forge you. Each internal battle you face is an opportunity to strengthen your command. Each moment of mental chaos is a chance to practice imposing order. Each emotional storm is an invitation to develop deeper calm. The weak commander blames his troops, his terrain, his weapons. The wise commander looks first to his own mind. Are his thoughts aligned with his purpose? Is his strategy clear? Has he mastered his own doubts before presuming to master others? This is where your journey begins, not in the clash of armies, not in the thunder of cannon, but in the quiet mastery of your own mental state. The power to shake empires begins with the power to still your own thoughts. Look again within yourself. Those doubts you saw earlier, they are not your enemies. They are your first subjects, waiting to be governed. That fear in the shadows, it is not your weakness. It is your raw material, waiting to be forged into strength. The inner battlefield is where empires are won or lost before the first sword is drawn. Master this domain, and the external world will bend to your will not through force, but through the irresistible power of a mind that has conquered itself. Remember, the war within determines the war without. Begin here, begin now. The greatest conquest awaits, and it starts in the battleground of your own consciousness. There is an ancient wisdom that echoes through the centuries. He who knows himself needs not fear the outcome of 100 battles. But what does it mean to truly know yourself? It is not enough to know your name, your history, your surface desires. You must know the depths of your mind as a general knows every inch of his territory. Think of your mind as a vast landscape. There are peaks of ambition, valleys of doubt, rivers of emotion, and forests of fear. Many live their entire lives never mapping this terrain. They wander blindly through their own mental territory, wondering why they keep falling into the same traps, the same patterns, the same defeats. But you must become the cartographer of your consciousness. Every reaction must be noted. Every pattern must be mapped. Every trigger must be understood. This is not mere self-reflection. This is strategic reconnaissance of the highest order. When anger rises in you, do not just feel it, study it. What summoned this emotion? What path did it take through your mind? What actions did it compel? This is how you begin to know yourself, not by suppressing these responses, but by understanding them with the cool detachment of a strategist. Your fears are not weaknesses to be ashamed of. They are intelligence to be gathered. Each anxiety, each moment of hesitation, each flutter of uncertainty is a signal from your mental terrain. These signals, properly understood, become your strategic advantage. The warrior who knows where his fear lives knows where his fortress must be strongest. Watch your thoughts as they move through your mind. Some thoughts are like scouts, testing the boundaries of your resolve. Others are like soldiers, ready to fight for your goals. Still others are like saboteurs, undermining your strength from within. You must know them all. You must learn their patterns, their timing, their impact. Most people are strangers to themselves. They react without understanding why. They feel without knowing the source. They act without grasping their true motivations. This is the path to defeat. Every action taken in ignorance of yourself is a victory handed to your opponents. Consider how you respond to challenge. Do you rush in with the heat of emotion? Do you retreat into the shadows of doubt? Do you stand frozen between advance and retreat? These are not just reactions. They are revelations. They show you the current state of your mental command. Your habits are your army. Every repeated thought, every practiced response, every routine action is a soldier in your mental forces. Are these forces well trained? Are they disciplined? Or do they scatter at the first sign of resistance? Knowing this determines whether your habits serve your strategy or undermine it. Your desires are your scouts. They move ahead of your conscious thought, seeking opportunities, testing boundaries. But undisciplined desires can lead you into ambush. You must know not just what you want, but why you want it. Is this desire serving your greater strategy, or is it a deception leading you into enemy territory? The art of self-knowledge is not passive. It requires the same intensity, the same discipline, the same strategic thinking as commanding an army. You must establish observation posts in your mind. You must send patrols through your thoughts. You must maintain constant vigilance over your mental territory. This knowledge, once gained, becomes power. When you know your patterns, you can change them. When you understand your triggers, you can control them. When you recognize your mental terrain, you can choose the ground on which to fight. Remember, self-knowledge is not self-absorption. The goal is not to dwell endlessly on your thoughts and feelings. The goal is to understand them so completely that you can command them. Like a general who knows every hill and valley of his territory, you must know every aspect of your mind. This is how you begin to rule your mind rather than be ruled by it. This is how you transform from a reactive force into a strategic power. This is how you build the foundation for all future victories. Know yourself completely, and no external force can truly surprise you. Master your mental terrain, and every battlefield becomes your home ground. This is the wisdom that has guided warriors and leaders through the ages. This is the knowledge that turns the chaos of thought into the power of strategy. Every reaction is a surrender of power. This is a truth that most will never grasp, yet it holds the key to mastery in any domain. When you react, you have allowed something outside yourself to command your actions. You have surrendered your strategic position to impulse. Watch how the untrained mind moves through the world. An insult triggers anger. A threat spawns fear. A challenge breeds doubt. Each stimulus produces an automatic response as predictable as the movement of a puppet's strings. This is not the way of the warrior. This is not the path to power. Consider this. Your enemy strikes at you with words meant to provoke anger. If you react with rage, whose strategy has prevailed? Not yours. You have played directly into their hands, dancing to their rhythm, following their script. Your reaction has given them the very power they sought to gain. The reactive mind is a mind in chains. It can be manipulated, predicted, controlled. Your opponents need only discover your triggers, and they can play you like an instrument. They need only push the right buttons, and you will move exactly as they intend. This is why reaction is the enemy of strategy. But there is another way. Between stimulus and response lies a space. In that space lives your power. In that space waits your strategic advantage. Most never discover this space. They live their lives in the narrow gap between trigger and reaction, never knowing they had a choice. The trained mind dwells in this space. When others would react with anger, it pauses. When others would snap with fear, it observes. When others would crumble with doubt, it considers. This is not suppression. It is strategic positioning. This is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. Think of the master swordsman. The novice reacts to every feint, every movement, exhausting himself with unnecessary responses. But the master remains still, moving only when true opportunity presents itself. This stillness is not passive. It is a position of absolute power. Your reactions are patterns that can be studied and exploited. Every time you react predictably, you reveal your strategy. Every time you respond automatically, you expose your weaknesses. Your habitual reactions are a map that leads straight to your defeat. But when you learn to break the chain between trigger and response, you become unreadable. When you master the space between stimulus and action, you become unpredictable. This is how you transform from a reactive target into a strategic force. The world will test you. It will prod you with provocations. It will tempt you with triggers. It will try to force you into reaction. These are not obstacles. They are opportunities. Each provocation is a chance to practice strategic response over emotional reaction. Watch how power shifts when you refuse to react. Watch how dynamics change when you respond with strategic calm instead of emotional chaos. Watch how your opponents lose their advantage when they cannot predict your movements. This is not about becoming emotionless. Feel everything, but react to nothing. Let every emotion flow through you, but let none control you. Your feelings are intelligence gathering, not command and control. They inform your strategy. They do not dictate it. The reactive mind sees an insult and must respond. The strategic mind sees an insult and asks, what advantage can be gained here? What is the optimal response? What does this reveal about my opponent? This is how you turn provocations into opportunities. Train yourself to recognize the moment. Between stimulus and response, make the space your home territory. Let others rush to react. You will wait in this space, gathering intelligence, considering options, choosing the perfect moment to act. Remember, every reaction is a choice, even if made unconsciously. Every automatic response is a decision, even if made in ignorance. By becoming conscious of these choices, you take back your power. By mastering these decisions, you master the battlefield. The enemy is not the external trigger. The enemy is not the situation that provokes. The enemy is reaction itself, the surrendering of strategic choice to automatic response. Master this enemy, and you master yourself. Master yourself, and you become invincible. This is the way of strategic power. This is the path of the warrior who conquers by choosing not to react. This is how you transform from a reactive object into a strategic force. The space between stimulus and response is your kingdom. Rule it well. What you do not attach to cannot wound you. What you do not react to cannot control you. This is the art of strategic detachment, not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of it. The ability to remain present without becoming entangled. The power to engage without becoming enslaved. Consider the surface of a still lake. When a stone is thrown, it creates ripples, but the lake does not chase these ripples. It does not become attached to them. It allows them to move across its surface while maintaining its essential nature. This is how your mind must be, aware of all disturbances but attached to none. Most minds are like leaves in the wind, blown about by every emotional current, caught up in every passing thought. They mistake this constant movement for living, this perpetual reaction for engagement. But true power lies in stillness. True engagement comes from conscious choice, not compulsive response. Strategic detachment begins with understanding that you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, you are the consciousness that observes them. This is not philosophy. This is practical warfare. When you separate yourself from your thoughts and feelings, you gain the power to use them. Rather than be used by them, watch how the untrained mind becomes instantly entangled with every thought that passes through it. A worry appears, and they become the worry. A desire arises, and they become the desire. An emotion surfaces, and they become the emotion. This entanglement is the root of all strategic weakness. But you must learn to watch your thoughts as a general watches troop movements on a battlefield. Some thoughts are allies, some are enemies, some are neutral forces that could swing either way. Your power lies not in becoming these thoughts, but in choosing which ones to engage with and which ones to let pass. Think of your mind as a vast sky. Thoughts and emotions are like clouds passing through it. No matter how dark or stormy these clouds become, the sky remains unaltered. It does not fight the clouds. It does not try to stop them. It maintains its essential nature while allowing everything to pass through it. This detachment gives you strategic advantages your opponents cannot match. When they try to provoke you, their attacks pass through empty space. When they attempt to manipulate your emotions, they find no purchase. When they seek to exploit your attachments, they discover there are none to exploit. But remember, strategic detachment is not the same as disconnection. You do not become cold, unfeeling, or distant. Instead, you develop the ability to feel everything while remaining free to choose your response. You maintain perfect clarity even in the midst of emotional storms. This is how you develop emotional immunity without losing emotional intelligence. You can read the feelings of others, understand their motivations, empathize with their positions, all while maintaining your strategic freedom. You become like a mirror, reflecting everything, but holding on to nothing. Practice this art in small moments before you need it in great ones. When irritation arises, watch it without becoming it. When anxiety appears, observe it without absorbing it. When desire flames up, acknowledge it without being consumed by it. Each moment of conscious detachment builds your strategic power. Your opponents expect you to be bound by the same attachments that bind them. They expect you to defend your ego, protect your emotions, react to their provocations. When you demonstrate strategic detachment, you shatter their expectations and seize the advantage. This detachment must be cultivated daily. Each morning, remind yourself, I am not my thoughts, I am not my emotions. I am the strategic consciousness that chooses which thoughts to engage with and which emotions to act upon. This is not denial, it is discrimination. This is not suppression, it is selection. The art of strategic detachment transforms every battlefield. Personal insults become meaningless. Professional setbacks become tactical data. Emotional provocations become strategic opportunities. You maintain perfect position because you are attached to no position. Remember, attachment is the source of reactive behavior. Reactive behavior is the death of strategy. By mastering strategic detachment, you free yourself to act rather than react, to choose rather than compel, to lead rather than follow. This is the way of the unassailable mind. This is the path of strategic invincibility. When you attach to nothing, you become capable of everything. When you are bound by nothing, you become free to achieve anything. In the midst of chaos, there is always one who remains calm. In every room of conflict, there is always one whose stillness commands attention. This is not coincidence. This is not chance. This is power in its purest form. The calmest mind is always the strongest mind. Consider what happens in a crisis. Most people scatter like leaves in a storm. Their thoughts race. Their emotions spike. Their actions become erratic and unpredictable. But there is always one who maintains their center, one whose very presence brings order to chaos, one whose calm becomes a gravitational force that others naturally orbit around. This calm is not passive. It is not the calm of surrender or the calm of withdrawal. This is active calm, the calm of the eye of the storm, the calm of absolute power held in perfect control. This is the calm that changes outcomes simply by being present. Watch what happens when you enter a heated situation with genuine calm. Notice how others begin to match your energy. Observe how their frantic movements slow, how their raised voices lower, how their scattered thoughts begin to organize themselves around your stillness. This is not manipulation. This is natural law. The universe bends toward calm because calm is the state of maximum potential. Think of a still pool of water. In its calm state, it can reflect the entire sky, but disturb that surface and the reflection shatters. Your mind works the same way. Only in calm can it reflect reality accurately. Only in stillness can it access its full power. Most seek to master external forces while their internal state remains turbulent. This is like trying to command an army while in the grip of panic. It cannot be done. The mastery of external circumstances begins with the mastery of internal calm. This is why calm is not just a state, it is a superpower. In negotiations, the calmest person controls the room. In conflict, the calmest mind finds the solution. In crisis, the calmest presence restores order. This is not theory. This is observable fact. Calm is the foundation of all strategic advantage. But how do you maintain calm when everything around you is in chaos? The secret lies in understanding that calm is not the absence of disturbance. It is the mastery of disturbance. It is not that the calm mind feels no fear, no anger, no doubt. It feels everything, but remains centered in its stillness. Think of a master martial artist. In the midst of combat, their mind remains perfectly calm. This calm allows them to see opportunities others miss, to respond with precision others lack, to maintain energy others waste. This same principle applies to every arena of life. Your calm becomes a weapon your opponents cannot defend against. They expect resistance. You offer none. They expect reaction. You respond with stillness. They expect emotional engagement. You maintain strategic distance. Your calm disrupts their strategy more effectively than any action could. But this superpower must be trained. Each day, seek out small disturbances to practice your calm against. When traffic tests your patience, make it a calm practice. When people test your temper, make it a calm practice. When circumstances test your composure, make it a calm practice. Every moment of maintained calm builds your power. Remember, calm is not weak. Calm is not passive. Calm is concentrated power. Calm is potential energy waiting to be directed. Calm is the state from which all effective action springs. The calmer you remain, the more power you can generate when you choose to move. Learn to trust your calm. When others rush to action, let your calm guide you. When others speak in haste, let your calm choose your words. When others succumb to pressure, let your calm show you the path. Your calm mind will see what their chaotic minds cannot. This is how you become unstoppable, not through force, not through speed, not through aggression, but through the invincible power of strategic calm. Let others exhaust themselves with dramatic displays. You will accomplish more with your calm than they ever will with their chaos. Your calm presence becomes a force that shapes events without apparent effort. Your calm mind becomes a clarity that cuts through confusion without struggle. Your calm spirit becomes a power that influences outcomes without obvious action. This is the superhuman power of strategic calm. The cup that is full can receive nothing more. The mind that is cluttered has no space for opportunity, but in emptiness lies infinite potential. This is not philosophy. This is strategy. The empty mind, like an empty battlefield, offers endless possibilities for movement and advantage. Consider the difference between a room packed with furniture and an empty hall. In which space can you move more freely? In which space can you adapt more quickly? In which space can you see more clearly? This same principle applies to your mind. Mental clutter is a strategic weakness. Emptiness is a strategic advantage. Most minds are like overstuffed chambers crammed with assumptions, prejudices, fixed ideas, and rigid expectations. They leave no room for new insights, no space for strategic adaptation, no possibility for unexpected opportunity. They are full cups that can receive nothing new, but the empty mind, the mind that maintains spaciousness, becomes a powerful, strategic tool. It can receive any information without distortion. It can consider any possibility without resistance. It can adapt to any situation without delay. This emptiness is not ignorance. It is readiness. Watch how the cluttered mind moves through the world. It sees only what it expects to see. It hears only what it expects to hear. It thinks only what it has thought before. Every new situation is forced to fit into old patterns. Every fresh opportunity is squeezed into stale categories. This is the path to strategic blindness. But the empty mind moves differently. It approaches each moment fresh, unburdened by the weight of preset conclusions. It sees what is actually there, not what it expects to be there. It hears what is actually being said, not what it assumes is being said. This is the foundation of strategic insight. Silence is a form of emptiness. In silence, you can hear what others miss. While they fill the air with noise, you gather intelligence in the quiet. While they broadcast their intentions through endless talk, you maintain the advantage of mystery through strategic silence. Space is another form of emptiness. The master strategist maintains space in their schedule, space in their mind, space in their actions. This space is not waste. It is room for opportunity. It is margin for adaptation. It is capacity for unexpected advantage. Most fear emptiness. They rush to fill every silence with sound, every space with activity, every moment with motion. But the wise warrior knows that emptiness is power. Like the empty sky that can hold any weather, the empty mind can hold any possibility. Think of emptiness as strategic receptivity. The empty mind can instantly receive and process new information. The empty schedule can instantly adapt to new opportunities. The empty space can instantly accommodate new movements. This readiness is a form of power that the cluttered and rigid can never access. Train yourself to create emptiness. Clear your mind of fixed conclusions before entering any situation. Empty your cup of assumptions before seeking to learn anything new. Create space in your thoughts before making any strategic decision. This emptiness will become your advantage. Your opponents expect you to be as full as they are, full of opinions, full of reactions, full of preset responses. When they encounter your emptiness, they lose their footing. Their strategies rely on your mind being a cluttered territory they can map and manipulate. Your emptiness makes you impossible to map. Remember, emptiness is not blankness. It is not mindlessness. It is purposeful space maintained for strategic advantage. It is conscious clarity preserved for tactical opportunity. It is intentional receptivity cultivated for maximum adaptability. Let others pride themselves on how much they know, how much they assume, how much they expect. You will maintain the advantage of emptiness. Let others rush to fill every moment with action, every silence with noise, every space with movement. You will maintain the power of strategic space. This is how you become unbeatable. Not through accumulation, but through emptiness. Not through rigidity, but through receptivity. Not through fullness, but through the infinite potential of strategic space. The empty cup can receive anything. The empty mind can achieve anything. The disciplined mind moves like a well-trained army with purpose, precision, and unstoppable force. Emotion without discipline is like a mob, powerful but directionless, dangerous but ultimately ineffective. This is why discipline must always see command emotion, never the reverse. Most people live at the mercy of their emotions. They are pulled this way by desire, pushed that way by fear, spun around by anger, dragged down by doubt. Their emotions are not their servants, but their masters. And what is mastered by emotion cannot master anything else. But discipline transforms emotional energy into strategic power. Think of a river. Undisciplined, it floods and destroys. Channeled with discipline, it drives turbines and generates power. Your emotions are the same. They are not to be suppressed. They are to be harnessed through disciplined direction. The first discipline is awareness. You must develop the habit of catching emotions as they arise, before they can hijack your strategic mind. This awareness is like posting sentries around your consciousness. They don't stop emotions from approaching, they simply alert you to their presence. The second discipline is assessment. When an emotion arrives, you must quickly determine, is this emotion tactically useful? Will it serve my strategy, or will it compromise my position? This assessment must become automatic, like a warrior instantly evaluating whether an approaching figure is friend or foe. The third discipline is action control. Even when emotion flames high, your actions must remain precisely calibrated to your strategy. This is not suppression, it is command. Like a powerful horse brought under the control of a skilled rider, emotion becomes an asset rather than a liability. Watch how the undisciplined mind handles provocation. Insult it, and it must respond with anger. Threaten it, and it must react with fear. Challenge it, and it must reply with either aggression or retreat. This predictability is a critical weakness. What can be predicted can be defeated, but the disciplined mind moves differently. When insulted, it chooses its response based on strategy, not emotional reflex. When threatened, it evaluates options with tactical clarity, not fearful reaction. When challenged, it selects its moves with strategic purpose, not emotional compulsion. This discipline must be trained daily. Each emotion that arises is an opportunity for practice. Each trigger that appears is a chance to strengthen your command. Each provocation that comes is a test of your disciplined control. Do not wait for big moments to practice. Use every small moment as training. Your discipline becomes a form of freedom. While others are chained to their emotional responses, you maintain freedom of action. While they are compelled by their feelings, you retain freedom of choice. While they are driven by their passions, you preserve freedom of strategy. Remember, discipline is not rigid control. It is not emotional suppression. It is the art of directing emotional energy towards strategic ends. It is the skill of choosing which emotions to express, when to express them, and how to express them for maximum tactical advantage. Consider how this discipline transforms your strategic position. When opponents expect emotional reaction, you give them disciplined response. When they count on provoking you, they meet your controlled precision. When they try to manipulate your feelings, they face your tactical clarity. This discipline must extend beyond obvious emotions. It must govern. Not just anger and fear, but also confidence and doubt, enthusiasm and hesitation, aggression and restraint. Every emotional force must come under your strategic command. Train yourself to pause before every action. In that pause, assess. Is this action driven by emotion or discipline? Is this move serving my strategy or satisfying my feelings? Is this response advancing my position or merely expressing my state? This brief pause is where discipline asserts its command. This is how you become unstoppable. Not by lacking emotion, but by mastering it. Not by suppressing feelings, but by directing them. Not by becoming cold, but by becoming disciplined. The warrior who brings emotion under discipline gains a power that no undisciplined force can match. He who controls the story controls the outcome. This is true in war, in business, in life. But most crucially, it is true in your own mind. The narrative you maintain in your thoughts determines every move you make, every decision you take, every battle you fight. Master this inner narrative, and you master your destiny. Most people let their stories control them. They accept whatever tale their fears write, whatever drama their doubts create, whatever narrative their wounds weave. They become passive audiences to the stories in their minds, rather than active authors of their own narrative. But the strategic mind understands that every story can be rewritten, every narrative can be reshaped, every mental script can be revised. This is not positive thinking, this is tactical reformation of your mental battlefield. The story you tell yourself about any situation becomes the foundation of your strategy within it. Consider how the untrained mind narrates failure. This defeat proves my weakness. This setback confirms my limitations. This obstacle demonstrates my inadequacy. This is not just negative thinking, it is strategic surrender. Every such narrative becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But the master strategist rewrites these stories with tactical precision. This defeat reveals where I must strengthen my position. This setback identifies where I must improve my approach. This obstacle shows me where I must develop new capabilities. Same events, different narrative, entirely different strategic outcome. Watch how your mind narrates challenges. Does it tell stories of threat or opportunity? Does it write tales of victimhood or agency? Does it create narratives of limitation or possibility? These are not just mental habits, they are strategic positions that either expand or contract. Your range of action, the stories you tell yourself about your capabilities, become the boundaries of your possible actions. The narratives you maintain about your potential become the limits of your achievable outcomes, the tales you weave about. Your nature become the borders of your strategic territory. This is why controlling your inner narrative is not optional. It is essential strategic warfare. Every thought that runs through your mind is either strengthening or weakening your position. Every story you tell yourself is either expanding or contracting your tactical options. But remember, this is not about false positivity. The strategic mind does not deny reality. It reshapes its relationship to reality through intentional narrative control. It does not ignore obstacles. It reframes them as opportunities. It does not dismiss challenges. It redefines them as growth catalysts. Your opponents will try to impose their narrative on you. They will attempt to write your story in terms of their choosing. They will seek to define your role in their preferred plot. But when you master your inner narrative, their stories have no power over you. You maintain narrative sovereignty. Train yourself to catch disempowering stories as they arise in your mind. When you hear yourself narrating defeat, pause and rewrite. When you catch yourself telling tales of limitation, stop and revise. When you notice yourself weaving narratives of weakness, halt and reshape. This narrative control must extend to how you story your past, your present, and your future. Your history is not a fixed tale. It is raw material for strategic narrative construction. Your present is not a locked story. It is an ongoing narrative you can actively shape. Your future is not a predetermined plot. It is a story you are authorized to write. Consider how this narrative mastery transforms your strategic position. When others see barriers, your story reveals pathways. When they perceive threats, your narrative recognizes opportunities. When they tell tales of limitation, your story speaks of tactical advantage. Remember, the most powerful person in any situation is the one controlling its narrative. The most influential force in any battle is the one shaping its story. The most effective strategist in any campaign is the one mastering its plot. This is how you become invincible. Not through denying reality, but through strategically narrating your relationship to reality. Not through ignoring truth, but through intentionally framing your engagement with truth. Not through false stories, but through tactical narrative. Mastery, the story you tell yourself, is the strategy you will follow. The narrative you maintain is the battle plan you will execute. The tale you believe is the victory you will achieve. Master your inner narrative, and you master your outer world. The warrior who sees most clearly strikes most effectively. But true seeing is rare. Most look without observing, watch without understanding, stare without perceiving. The power of observation is not in your eyes, it is in your mind's ability to process what your eyes encounter. Every moment contains 1,000 signals. Every situation broadcasts its secrets. Every person reveals their strategy. But these messages are only valuable to the mind trained to receive them. The master observer sees not just what is happening, but what is about to happen, not just what is being shown, but what is being hidden. Consider how the untrained mind observes. It sees only what confirms its existing beliefs. It notices only what supports its current fears. It recognizes only what matches its established patterns. This is not observation, this is selective blindness. And selective blindness is a strategic weakness. But the strategic observer maintains what the Zen masters call beginner's mind, a state of pure receptivity, unmarred by expectation, unclouded by assumption. They see what is actually there, not what they expect to be there. They observe what is truly happening, not what they assume must be happening. Watch how people reveal their strategies without realizing it. Their small gestures telegraph their intentions. Their unconscious patterns betray their plans. Their habitual responses expose their weaknesses. To the trained observer, every detail is intelligence. Every signal is strategic information. Most focus only on obvious signals. Spoken words, clear actions, explicit movements. But the master observer sees the subtle signs that others miss. The slight tension in a smile that reveals deception. The minor shift in posture that indicates doubt. The tiny hesitation that betrays uncertainty. Your observation must operate on multiple levels simultaneously. Like a general surveying a battlefield, you must see both the large-scale patterns and the minute details, both the obvious movements and the hidden preparations, both the surface activity and the underlying strategy. This power of observation begins with self-observation. You must watch your own mind with the same precision you apply to external observation. Notice your own patterns, track your own reactions, monitor your own assumptions. Self-observation is the foundation of strategic awareness. Train yourself to observe without judgment. Judgment clouds perception. The moment you decide something is good or bad, right or wrong, beneficial or harmful, you stop seeing it clearly. True observation maintains neutral awareness, seeing what is exactly as it is, without mental commentary. Remember, observation is not passive. It is an active engagement with reality. Every moment of observation is gathering intelligence. Every act of perception is collecting data. Every instance of awareness is accumulating strategic information. Your power of observation becomes a strategic advantage your opponents cannot defend against. While they see only what they expect to see, you see what is actually there. While they notice only what confirms their beliefs, you perceive what is truly unfolding. This observational power must be trained daily. Make every moment an opportunity for practice. Observe how people move through a crowd. Watch how they handle stress. Notice how they react to pressure. Every observation builds your strategic understanding. Consider how this heightened observation transforms your strategic position. When others miss crucial signals, you catch subtle cues. When they overlook important patterns, you recognize emerging trends. When they fail to see approaching changes, you detect early indicators. But remember, observation without understanding is just data collection. The power lies in your ability to process what you observe, to connect separate signals into meaningful patterns, to translate random details into strategic intelligence. This is how you become unstoppable. Not through force, but through perception. Not through action, but through awareness. Not through speed, but through clarity of observation. The warrior who sees most clearly strikes most effectively because they understand exactly where, when, and how to strike. Feel everything. React to nothing. This is the art of emotional distance, the ability to experience emotions fully while maintaining strategic separation from them. Like a scientist who can handle dangerous materials through protective barriers, you must learn to handle powerful emotions through strategic distance. Most confuse emotional distance with emotional suppression. They think they must choose between feeling and functioning, between emotion and effectiveness. But true emotional distance is not about feeling less. It is about maintaining space between your feelings and your actions. Consider the difference between being in a storm and watching a storm. When you're in it, you're at its mercy, thrown about by its force, blinded by its fury, deafened by its roar. But when you watch it from a safe distance, you can appreciate its power while remaining untouched by its chaos. This is how you must learn to handle emotions, not by trying to stop the storm, but by finding the position from which you can observe it without being swept away by it. This is not detachment. It is strategic positioning. This is not coldness. It is tactical clarity. Watch how the untrained mind handles strong emotions. It becomes them. Anger arises, and they become angry. Fear appears, and they become afraid. Desire emerges, and they become wanting. This complete identification with emotion is a critical strategic weakness, but the master strategist maintains distance even in the midst of intense feeling. They can experience rage while choosing calm actions. They can feel fear while executing courageous strategies. They can sense desire while making dispassionate decisions. This emotional distance is tactical power. Train yourself to recognize the space between feeling and being. When emotion arises, observe it as a separate phenomenon, like weather in your internal atmosphere. Feel its presence, acknowledge its power, but maintain your position as the observer rather than the experienced. Your emotional distance becomes a form of freedom. While others are compelled by their feelings, you maintain choice. While they are driven by their emotions, you preserve strategic options. While they are controlled by their internal states, you retain tactical flexibility. This distance must be practiced in small moments before it can be trusted in large ones. When minor irritations arise, practice feeling them while maintaining space. When small fears appear, experience them while preserving distance. When light desires emerge, acknowledge them while keeping separation. Remember, emotional distance is not emotional ignorance. You must remain exquisitely sensitive to both your own emotions and those of others. This sensitivity, combined with strategic distance, gives you extraordinary tactical advantages in any human engagement. Consider how this mastery transforms your strategic position. When others are overwhelmed by emotional storms, you maintain clear sight. When they are driven by emotional impulses, you preserve tactical choice. When they are blinded by emotional intensity, You retain strategic vision. This emotional distance must extend to all feelings, not just the obviously disruptive ones. Victory can be as strategically blinding as defeat. Success can be as tactically dangerous as failure. Even positive emotions must be held at the same strategic distance as negative ones. Your opponents expect you to be as emotionally entangled as they are. They count on your feelings compelling you, your emotions driving you, your internal states controlling you. Your emotional distance disrupts their entire strategic approach. Train yourself to maintain this distance, especially when emotions run highest. The stronger the feeling, the more crucial the space between it and your strategic mind. The more intense the emotion, the more vital the distance between it and your tactical choices. This is how you become invincible. Not by suppressing emotion, but by mastering your relationship to it. Not by feeling less, but by maintaining space around what you feel. Not by becoming cold, but by achieving strategic distance. The warrior who can feel everything while reacting to nothing becomes impossible to manipulate and impossible to defeat. Real power is built in silence, away from watching eyes. The most crucial battles are won long before they are fought, in moments no one sees, in training sessions no one witnesses. Those who understand this truth train in the shadows, preparing victories that will seem effortless to those who only watch the final moment. Most seek attention for their training. They need witnesses to validate their effort, audiences to confirm their progress, observers to acknowledge their dedication. But this need for validation is a strategic weakness. True power grows best in privacy, like a seed developing underground. Before it breaks the surface, consider the difference between a tree that grows in the open and one that grows in the forest. The exposed tree develops quickly, but remains weak. The forest tree grows slowly, but develops deep roots and unshakable strength. Your power must be built like that forest tree, in the shadow of privacy, developing depth before height. Watch how the untrained mind approaches development. It seeks immediate results, visible progress, quick validation. It wants to demonstrate its growth before that growth is complete. It tries to show its power before that power is consolidated. This impatience for recognition undermines true development. But the master strategist trains differently. They understand that real transformation happens in darkness, in solitude, in moments no one else will ever see. They know that power built in private becomes unshakable in public. They recognize that strength developed in shadows cannot be undermined in the light. Your private training sessions are where true mastery is forged. These are the moments when you face your weaknesses without fear of judgment, when you confront your limitations without concern for appearances, when you push your boundaries without worry about observers. This is where real power grows. Train yourself to value private progress over public recognition. Learn to find satisfaction in silent improvement rather than visible achievement. Develop the discipline to work as hard or harder when no one is watching as you do, when all eyes are upon you. Remember, what others don't see, they can't prepare for. What they don't witness, they can't counter. What they don't observe, they can't defend against. Your private training becomes your secret weapon, your hidden advantage, your unexpected strength. This shadow training must encompass all aspects of your development. Mental exercises done in solitude, emotional mastery practiced in privacy, strategic thinking refined in isolation. These private sessions build the foundation that will support your public victories. Your opponents focus on what can be seen. They prepare for visible strengths, obvious capabilities, demonstrated powers, but your true capabilities, developed in shadow, remain unknown until the moment of engagement. This invisible preparation becomes tactical advantage. Consider how this approach transforms your strategic position. While others train for show, you develop for effect. While they build for display, you strengthen for impact. While they prepare for appearance, you train for outcome. The power built in shadow cannot be countered because it cannot be seen until it strikes. This private training requires extraordinary self-discipline. There are no external motivators in the shadows, no cheerleaders in solitude, no audience to impress in isolation. You must find your drive from within, your motivation from purpose rather than recognition. Train yourself to treat every private moment as a training opportunity. The quiet hours before dawn, the solitary moments between tasks, the silent spaces in your day. These are not empty times, they are opportunities for shadow development. Your commitment to private training becomes a form of strategic advantage. While others depend on external validation, you build internal certainty. While they need public recognition, you develop private confidence. While they seek outside confirmation, you strengthen inner conviction. This is how you become unstoppable, not through public display, but through private development, not through visible effort, but through hidden preparation, not through demonstrated power, but through shadow training. The warrior who builds power in darkness becomes invincible in light. Remember, the most powerful forces in nature develop unseen. Diamonds form in darkness. Roots grow underground. Seeds transform in soil. Your greatest powers must develop the same way, in the shadows, away from watching eyes, in the private moments that forge public victories. The one who strikes too soon reveals their strategy. The one who moves too quickly exhausts their resources. But the one who waits, who cultivates patience as a tactical art, gains advantages that no speed can match. Patience is not passive waiting. It is active preparation for the perfect moment. Most mistake patience for inaction. They think waiting means doing nothing. But true strategic patience is like a bow being drawn. Though no movement is visible, power is being gathered. Though no action is seen, potential is being built. This is not waiting. This is weaponized patience. Consider the difference between a novice hunter and a master hunter. The novice shoots at the first movement, revealing their position, wasting their ammunition, spooking their prey. The master waits, gathering intelligence, conserving energy, allowing the perfect opportunity to develop. This is the power of strategic patience. Watch how the untrained mind handles opportunity. It lunges at the first chance, grabs at the initial opening, commits to the earliest option. This impulsive action is a critical weakness. Every premature move is a strategic advantage handed to your opponents. But the master strategist waits with purpose. They understand that time is often an ally, that patience can be a force multiplier, that waiting can be a way of winning. They know that the right moment is worth 1,000 hasty actions, that perfect timing defeats raw speed every time. Your patience becomes a form of power your opponents cannot defend against. While they exhaust themselves with constant action, you conserve your strength. While they reveal their strategies through premature moves, you maintain your mystery. While they waste energy on false opportunities, you wait for real ones. Train yourself to recognize the difference between active waiting and passive delay. Active waiting is strategic. You gather intelligence, build resources, prepare positions. Passive delay is stagnant. You simply let time pass without purpose. One is a weapon, the other a weakness. This strategic patience must be cultivated daily. When urgency pressures you to act, practice waiting. When anxiety pushes you to move, practice stillness. When opportunity tempts you to strike, practice assessment. Every moment of conscious waiting strengthens your strategic patience. Remember, patience is not the absence of action. It is a form of action. It is not the suspension of strategy. It is strategy in motion. It is not the pause of power. It is power being accumulated. Your patience is preparing victories that hasty action could never achieve. Consider how this patience transforms your strategic position. When others rush into traps, you wait for clear paths. When they exhaust themselves with constant motion, you conserve your force. When they reveal their plans through premature action, you maintain your tactical advantage. Your opponents expect you to be as impatient as they are. They count on your urgency matching theirs, your haste reflecting theirs, your impulsiveness mirroring theirs. Your strategic patience disrupts their entire approach. They cannot counter what they cannot provoke into premature action. Train yourself to find comfort in waiting. Learn to trust the power of patience. Develop confidence in strategic timing. The more you practice purposeful waiting, the more you understand that patience itself is a form of power. This patience must extend beyond obvious situations. It must govern not just your actions, but your reactions, not just your moves, but your responses, not just your strategies, but your tactics. Every aspect of your approach must be tempered by strategic patience. Watch how this mastery of patience changes the battlefield. Where others see delays, you see preparation time. Where they experience frustration, you find opportunity. Where they feel stagnation, you build potential. Your patience becomes the foundation of their defeat. This is how you become invincible. Not through constant action, but through strategic waiting. Not through immediate response, but through perfect timing. Not through speed, but through patience. The warrior who masters patience masters the outcome before the battle begins. Never move in confusion. Never act in fog. Every step taken in mental chaos leads further from victory. Clarity is not just a state of mind. It is a strategic imperative. Before any action, before any decision, before any move, you must first achieve absolute clarity. Most rush into action to escape uncertainty. They move to feel like they're making progress. They act to create the illusion of control, but action without clarity is like shooting arrows in darkness. You may release many, but none will find their mark. This is not strategy. This is strategic. Surrender. Consider the difference between a panicked crowd and a disciplined army. The crowd moves in chaos, each person acting without clarity, creating more confusion with every step. The army moves with precision, each action based on clear understanding, each move serving a defined purpose. This is the power of clarity before action. Watch how the untrained mind responds to pressure. It mistakes motion for progress, activity for achievement, busyness for effectiveness. In its rush to do something, anything, it loses the power that comes only from clear understanding and purposeful action. But the master strategist moves differently. They understand that moments spent gaining clarity are never wasted, that time invested in achieving clear understanding pays dividends in effectiveness, that actions born from mental clarity have a power that hurried moves can never match. Your clarity becomes a form of power that chaos cannot defeat. While others rush about in confusion, you move with precision. While they scatter their energy in random actions, you focus your force with exact purpose. While they create more chaos through hurried movement, you cut through confusion with clear intent. Train yourself to pause before every significant action. In that pause, ask, is my understanding complete? Is my perspective clear? Is my purpose defined? This pause for clarity becomes your strategic advantage. It transforms random movement into precise action. This clarity must be cultivated, especially when pressure mounts for immediate action. When others demand quick responses, when situations seem to require instant reaction, when circumstances appear to force immediate moves, these are the moments when clarity becomes most crucial. Remember, clarity is not passive contemplation. It is active intelligence gathering. It is not aimless reflection. It is purposeful understanding. It is not decision avoidance. It is decision preparation. Every moment spent gaining clarity is a strategic investment in effective action. Consider how this commitment to clarity transforms your strategic position. When others act from confusion, you move from understanding. When they make decisions in mental fog, you choose from clear insight. When they react from uncertainty, you respond from absolute clarity. Your opponents expect you to match their confused urgency. They anticipate that pressure will force you into unclear action. They Count on circumstances pushing you into foggy decisions. Your insistence on clarity disrupts their entire strategy. Train yourself to recognize the signs of unclear thinking, emotional urgency, confused purpose, foggy outcomes, mixed motives. These are warnings that clarity has not yet been achieved. These are signals that more understanding is needed before action is taken. This devotion to clarity must extend beyond obvious decisions. It must govern not just major moves, but minor actions, not just crucial choices, but routine responses, not just strategic planning, but tactical execution. Every action must spring from clear understanding. Watch how this mastery of clarity changes your effectiveness. Actions that once consumed great energy now flow with natural precision. Decisions that once created anxiety now emerge with quiet confidence. Moves that once led to uncertain outcomes now produce predictable results. Your clarity becomes a beacon that others will follow. In the midst of chaos, your clear understanding draws allies. In times of confusion, your precise grasp of reality attracts supporters. In periods of uncertainty, your evident clarity inspires confidence. This is how you become unstoppable. Not through frantic action, but through clear understanding. Not through hurried movement, but through precise purpose. Not through busy activity, but through absolute clarity. The warrior who moves from clarity becomes invincible by nature. Fall 7 times, rise 8, stronger. This is not just an ancient saying, it is a strategic imperative. True resilience is not about bouncing back to where you were. It is about returning stronger than before. Each setback becomes a setup for greater power. Most think of resilience as mere survival, the ability to endure, to last, to persist. But strategic resilience is about transformation. It is the art of turning obstacles into advantages, defeats into lessons, setbacks into setups. This is not endurance. This is strategic evolution. Consider the difference between a wall and a tree in a storm. The wall either stands or breaks. The tree bends, adapts, and grows stronger from the pressure. This is the difference between rigid resistance and true resilience. One breaks under pressure. The other transforms pressure into power. Watch how. The untrained mind handles defeat. It either breaks or becomes bitter. It either surrenders or hardens. It either gives up or walls up. Both responses are strategic weaknesses. True resilience is about becoming more capable, not more rigid. But the master strategist understands that pressure is a gift. Opposition is an opportunity. Resistance is a teacher. They know that every force that pushes against them is actually building their strength. Every obstacle that blocks them is actually revealing new paths. Your resilience becomes a form of power that defeat cannot diminish. While others are destroyed by failure, you are developed by it. While they are weakened by setbacks, you are strengthened by them. While they are diminished by opposition, you are enhanced by it. Train yourself to see every setback as strategic feedback. When you fall, don't just get up. Understand why you fell. When you fail, don't just try again. Comprehend what the failure is teaching. When you hit walls, don't just bounce back. Learn what the resistance reveals. This resilience must be cultivated daily. Don't wait for major defeats to practice it. Use every small setback, every minor obstacle, every tiny failure as training ground. Each moment of resistance is an opportunity to develop strategic resilience. Remember, resilience is not about hardening yourself against reality. It is about becoming more adaptable to it. It is not about building walls against pressure. It is about developing the ability to transform pressure into power. Every setback is raw material for your strengthening. Consider how this mastery of resilience transforms your strategic position. When others are broken by defeat, you are built by it. When they are halted by obstacles, you are helped by them. When they are stopped by resistance, you are strengthened by it. Your opponents expect defeat to destroy you. they anticipate failure to finish you. They count on setbacks to stop you. Your strategic resilience disrupts their entire approach. They cannot defeat what grows stronger from opposition. Train yourself to welcome resistance. Learn to appreciate obstacles. Develop gratitude for opposition. The more you understand these forces as teachers rather than tormentors, the more powerful your resilience becomes. This resilience must extend beyond obvious challenges. It must govern not just how you handle major defeats but minor setbacks, not just how you face big failures but small stumbles, not just how you meet great opposition but tiny resistance. Watch how this mastery of resilience changes your entire approach to challenge. What once seemed like devastating setbacks become essential lessons. What appeared to be crushing defeats become crucial development. What looked like blocking obstacles become building opportunities. Your resilience becomes a form of invincibility. Not because you cannot be defeated, but because defeat itself becomes part of your strengthening. Not because you cannot fail, but because failure becomes fuel for your growth. Not because you cannot fall, but because every fall makes you rise stronger. This is how you become unstoppable. Not through avoiding defeat, but through transforming it. Not through escaping pressure, but through evolving from it. Not through dodging resistance, but through developing through it. Know their emotions. Control the outcome. This is not manipulation. It is strategic understanding. The master of emotional intelligence doesn't just read feelings, they comprehend the entire emotional battlefield. They see how emotions shape decisions, drive actions, and determine outcomes before a single move is made. Most think emotional intelligence is about being nice, being sensitive, being emotionally available. But strategic emotional intelligence is about understanding the emotional forces that drive all human action. It is about seeing the invisible currents that move people, the hidden tides that shape situations. Consider how a master sailor reads the wind. They don't just feel the breeze. They understand how it affects every aspect of their journey. They know how it influences waves, impacts speed, affects direction. This is how you must read emotions, not just feeling them, but understanding their full strategic impact. Watch how the untrained mind handles emotional information. It either ignores emotions as irrelevant or becomes entangled in them. It either dismisses emotional data as soft intelligence or gets swept away by emotional currents. Both approaches miss the strategic power of emotional understanding, but the master strategist sees emotions as critical intelligence. They understand that every human action is influenced by feeling, every decision is colored by emotion, every strategy is shaped by sentiment. This understanding becomes a form of tactical advantage that mere logical analysis cannot match. Your emotional intelligence becomes a weapon your opponents cannot defend against. While they focus on obvious tactical matters, you see the emotional undercurrents that truly drive events. While they plan for logical responses, you understand the emotional forces that will actually determine outcomes. Train yourself to read emotional data with tactical precision. Note not just what people feel, but why they feel it. Observe not just emotional states, but emotional patterns. Study not just current feelings, but emotional tendencies. This is not sympathy. This is strategic intelligence gathering. This emotional understanding must be cultivated systematically. Learn to recognize emotional signatures like a tracker reads signs. Learn to predict emotional responses like a meteorologist forecasts weather. Learn to understand emotional dynamics like a physicist comprehends forces. Remember, emotions are not obstacles to strategic thinking. They are essential strategic information. They are not disruptions to tactical planning. They are crucial tactical intelligence. Every emotion you detect is a piece of data that can inform your strategy. Consider how this mastery of emotional intelligence transforms your strategic position. When others are surprised by emotional reactions, you anticipate them. When they are confused by emotional responses, you understand them. When they are derailed by emotional dynamics, you utilize them. Your opponents expect you to operate on purely logical levels. They prepare for rational strategies, reasonable approaches, calculated moves. Your emotional intelligence gives you access to a dimension of warfare they don't even know exists. Train yourself to recognize emotional patterns in both individuals and groups. Watch how emotions spread through teams, how feelings influence organizations, how sentiments shape collective decisions. This understanding of emotional dynamics becomes a strategic multiplier. This emotional intelligence must extend beyond obvious situations. It must inform not just how you handle clear emotional displays, but subtle emotional undercurrents, not just how you read strong feelings, but quiet sentiments, not just how you understand dramatic emotional events, but everyday emotional patterns. Watch how this mastery of emotional intelligence changes your strategic effectiveness. Conflicts that once seemed chaotic become predictable. Situations that appeared random show clear patterns. Outcomes that looked uncertain become foreseeable through the lens of emotional understanding. Your emotional intelligence becomes a form of strategic foresight. By understanding the emotional forces at play, you can predict how situations will develop, how people will react, how events will unfold. This is not mystical insight, it is tactical comprehension of human nature. This is how you become invincible. Not through ignoring emotions, but through mastering them. Not through suppressing feelings, but through understanding them. Not through emotional detachment, but through emotional intelligence. The warrior who masters the emotional battlefield masters the outcome before engagement begins. Appear weak when you are strong. Appear strong when you are weak. This ancient wisdom holds a deeper truth. The master of strategy understands that appearance itself is a weapon. That perception can be more powerful than reality, that what others believe about your position is as important as the position itself. Most think of deception as lying, as false presentation, as active misrepresentation, but strategic deception is about understanding how appearances shape reality, how perceptions influence outcomes, how beliefs determine actions. This is not about falsehood, it is about the strategic use of truth. Consider how nature uses appearance. The butterfly appears larger when it spreads its wings. The pufferfish expands to seem more formidable. The stick insect resembles its surroundings. These are not lies. They are strategic uses of appearance. They are tactical deployments of perception. Watch how the untrained mind handles appearance. It either tries to show everything or hide everything. It either displays all its power or conceals all its strength. Both extremes miss the strategic opportunity that lies in the careful management of appearance. But the master strategist understands that appearance is a tactical tool. They know when to appear stronger than they are and when to seem weaker, when to display capability and when to show vulnerability, when to demonstrate power and when to exhibit limitation. Your control of appearances becomes a force that shapes reality. While others are bound by what is, you work with what seems to be. While they are limited by actual conditions, you operate in the realm of perceived conditions. While they deal only with facts, you manage both facts and impressions. Train yourself to understand how appearances influence outcomes. Notice how perceived strength attracts some and repels others. Observe how apparent weakness draws some and deters others. Study how different appearances create different strategic opportunities. This mastery of appearance must be cultivated with precision. Like a master painter choosing colors, you must learn when to use each shade of appearance. Like a skilled actor selecting expressions, you must know which aspect of yourself to present in each situation. Remember, this is not about deception for deception's sake. It is about the strategic use of appearance to create tactical advantage. It is about understanding that how others perceive your position is as crucial as the position itself. Consider how this control of appearance transforms your strategic position. When others think you weak, your strength becomes your secret weapon. When they believe you strong, your actual power remains unknown. When they feel certain about your position, their certainty becomes their weakness. Your opponents base their strategies on what they believe about you. They plan according to what they think they know. They act based on what they perceive. Your mastery of appearance disrupts their entire strategic approach. Train yourself to see every aspect of yourself as a potential tactical tool. Your strengths can be hidden or displayed. Your weaknesses can be concealed or revealed. Your capabilities can be demonstrated or disguised. Each choice of appearance serves strategic purpose. This mastery of appearance must extend beyond obvious situations. It must govern not just how you handle major confrontations, but minor interactions, not just how you approach significant challenges, but everyday encounters, not just how you manage crucial moments, but routine situations. Watch how this understanding of appearance changes your strategic effectiveness. Conflicts that once seemed straightforward become rich with possibility. Situations that appeared simple show new tactical options. Encounters that looked fixed reveal strategic flexibility. Your control of appearance becomes a form of strategic freedom. By understanding how to manage perceptions, you gain options others don't see. By mastering the use of appearance, you create opportunities others can't access. By controlling how you are perceived, you shape how others respond. This is how you become unconquerable. Not through raw power, but through strategic appearance, not through brute force, but through tactical perception, not through overwhelming strength, but through masterful presentation. The warrior who controls appearance controls the battlefield itself. Control your thoughts, command your world. This is not mysticism, it is strategic reality. Your thoughts are the first battlefield, the primary territory, the fundamental ground where all victories and defeats are determined. Master this domain, and external mastery follows naturally. Most treat their thoughts as uncontrollable weather, sometimes clear, sometimes stormy, always beyond their command. But the master strategist understands that thoughts are more like troops than clouds. They can be trained, positioned, deployed, and commanded with proper discipline. Consider your mind as a kingdom. Every thought is either a loyal subject serving your purpose or a rebel, undermining your power. Every idea is either an asset strengthening your position or a liability weakening your stance. There is no neutral ground in the territory of thought. Watch how the untrained mind handles its thoughts. It lets them wander without direction, surge without purpose, scatter without strategy. It treats random thoughts as reality, treats passing ideas as truth, treats temporary feelings as facts. This surrender of mental sovereignty is a critical weakness. But the sovereign mind rules its thought domain with conscious authority. It questions each thought that seeks entry. It examines every idea that requests audience. It evaluates each concept that claims attention. This is not overthinking. It is mental governance. Your thought sovereignty becomes a power base that circumstances cannot shake. While others are ruled by random mental events, you govern your mental territory. While they are swayed by every passing thought, you maintain conscious command. While they serve their thoughts, your thoughts serve you. Train yourself to recognize thoughts as subjects seeking influence in your mental kingdom. Some thoughts come as advisors, offering wisdom. Some arrive as spies, seeking to undermine. Some appear as rebels attempting to seize control. Each must be examined before being granted territory in your mind. This mental sovereignty must be maintained constantly. Like a ruler watching the borders of their realm, you must monitor what enters your mental territory. Like a king protecting the integrity of their kingdom, you must guard what takes root in your thought domain. Remember, thoughts create reality twice, first in your mind, then in your world. They shape your perception before they shape your action. They influence your strategy before they impact your tactics. Every thought you allow to take residence in your mind becomes part of your strategic foundation. Consider how this thought sovereignty transforms your strategic position. When others are overwhelmed by mental chaos, you maintain mental order. When they are ruled by random thoughts, you govern with purpose. When they are conquered by passing ideas, you command with intention. Your opponents expect you to be as mentally ungoverned as they are. They anticipate your thoughts being as chaotic as theirs, your mental state being as turbulent as theirs, your inner territory being as unruled as theirs. Your thought sovereignty disrupts their entire strategic assumption. Train yourself to test every thought that seeks influence. Does this thought serve my purpose? Does this idea advance my strategy? Does this concept strengthen my position? This constant evaluation is not paranoia. It is mental vigilance. This sovereignty must extend beyond obvious thoughts. It must govern not just major ideas, but minor notions, not just significant concepts, but passing impressions, not just important beliefs, but casual assumptions. Every thought must answer to your strategic authority. Watch how this mastery of thought sovereignty changes your strategic effectiveness. Situations that once seemed overwhelming become manageable. Challenges that appeared insurmountable show clear solutions. Problems that looked unsolvable reveal obvious answers. Your thought sovereignty becomes your ultimate strategic advantage. By controlling your mental territory, you control your strategic starting point. By governing your thought domain, you command your tactical options. By ruling your inner kingdom, you influence your outer world. This is how you become invincible, not through controlling circumstances, but through commanding thoughts. Not through mastering situations, but through governing perceptions. Not through ruling others, but through sovereignly ruling your own mind. The warrior who achieves thought sovereignty has already won the most crucial battle. The highest victory is won without conflict. The supreme strategy succeeds without struggle. The ultimate power changes outcomes through presence alone. This is not pacifism. It is the pinnacle of strategic mastery. When your mind becomes truly unshakable, battle becomes unnecessary. Most think of victory in terms of conflict, defeating opposition, overcoming resistance, conquering obstacles. But the master strategist understands that true victory often happens before any battle begins. It is achieved through the power of an unshakable mind that shapes reality by its mere existence. Consider how the sun influences without effort. It doesn't fight the darkness. It simply shines. It doesn't struggle against cold. It simply radiates. Its mere presence transforms everything around it. This is how the unshakable mind works. It doesn't fight. It transforms through its nature. Watch how the untrained mind approaches challenges. It gears up for battle, prepares for struggle, readies for conflict. It sees every situation as a fight to be won, every challenge as an enemy to be defeated, every obstacle as a foe to be conquered. This combative mindset creates the very resistance it seeks to overcome. But the unshakable mind operates differently. It understands that many victories are won through presence rather than pressure, through influence rather than force, through being rather than doing. Its power lies not in what it does, but in what it is. Your unshakable presence becomes a force that changes situations without effort. While others struggle to make things happen, you transform circumstances by your nature. While they fight to achieve outcomes, you alter reality through your essence. While they battle external forces, you change conditions through internal mastery. Train yourself to recognize when victory requires no conflict. Notice how some situations resolve themselves in the presence of absolute clarity. Observe how some challenges dissolve before unwavering calm. Study how some obstacles vanish, facing immovable certainty. This mastery must be cultivated through understanding rather than effort. It grows through insight rather than force, through wisdom rather than will, through clarity rather than combat. The more unshakable your mind becomes, the less conflict you need to achieve your goals. Remember, the highest power is not the ability to win every fight, it is the ability to make fighting unnecessary. It is not the capacity to overcome all opposition, it is the quality that dissolves opposition through its very nature. True mastery often looks like effortlessness. Consider how this unshakable quality transforms your strategic position. When others see battles to be fought, you see situations to be transformed. When they perceive enemies to be defeated, you recognize conditions to be changed. When they find resistance to be overcome, you notice reality to be reshaped. Your opponents prepare for conflict you will never give them. They ready themselves for battles you will never fight. They gear up for struggles you will never engage in. Your unshakable presence disrupts their entire concept of victory and defeat. Train yourself to embody unshakable qualities, absolute clarity that needs no defense, perfect calm that requires no protection, complete certainty that seeks no validation. These qualities achieve more through their simple presence than force could ever accomplish through struggle. This unshakable nature must extend beyond obvious situations. It must govern not just how you handle major challenges, but minor difficulties, not just how you face significant obstacles, but daily resistance, not just how you meet great opposition, but routine friction. Watch how this unshakable presence changes everything around you. Conflicts dissolve before they begin, challenges transform without struggle, opposition fades without battle. Your very nature becomes a force that shapes reality without effort. Your unshakable mind becomes your ultimate victory, not because it helps you win every battle, but because it makes many battles unnecessary. Not because it defeats all opposition, but because it transforms opposition into opportunity. Not because it conquers every enemy, but because it turns enemies into allies. This is how you achieve the highest mastery. Not through winning conflicts, but through transcending them. Not through fighting battles, but through transforming them. Not through defeating opposition, but through dissolving it. The warrior whose mind is truly unshakable has already won without fighting.